Hi, welcome to the Explore HVAC and Home Services webinar. This month, we're going to dig into what I call the owner everything ceiling. This is where you as the owner are the lead salesperson, you're the ops manager, you're the marketing strategist, and you're the hiring person and the firing person. So you're kind of doing everything. You're wearing lots of different hats. And so this ceiling is usually around 1 million for HVAC and home service owners. So let's talk about some things that we can do today that are going to help increase your growth and avoid the things that are causing issues. So just so you know, I'm Pam Mashford. I'm the owner of exploreHVAC, and I've worked with a lot of home services owners. I'm an owner myself, so I look at a lot of this and go, yep, I remember when I was doing some of the same stuff. But that $1 million ceiling, it's really real. It's there's a lot of different things that you're going to have to overcome as you get bigger and start driving more revenue. And you're not going to be able to be the salesperson on every job. You're not going to be able to be the ops manager. But one of the first things that you can start letting go of is your marketing. And so let's just talk about some things, some mistakes, some constraints that are keeping you from growing, and talk about some solutions for that. Today, we're going to cover those 4 revenue, what I call limiters or constraints. We'll talk through a quarterly planning framework, how to protect your budget, especially if you're working with an agency. How do you know that they're the right agency or the right people to be helping you manage that budget? And then also a 30-day action plan. So let's just jump right in to the first constraint. What I find with most successful HVAC companies when they hit that $1 million ceiling is that they're relying only on referrals and word of mouth. And this can tend to be a problem because, and there's nothing wrong with some good referrals, but they aren't predictable. You can't control the timing, and it creates this, what I call a feast or famine revenue. And especially during the shoulder season, that's not something that you want to have to rely on, is those referrals. So, and then the other piece is it's hard to budget, it's hard to plan, and it's hard to control your growth and your destiny with just referrals. What we think is the fix, and it is the fix really, is a multi-channel approach. Not only having just your referrals, but having lots of different channels that are coming in and providing revenue opportunities. So the fix for this is that we want to have a multi-channel approach. We want to have lots of different channels of revenue and leads that are coming into your business. While referrals are really important, it's important that you systemize them. So you want to have a formal reward program. You want to automate your review requests. And so the best referral out there digitally is Google, the Google reviews, Yelp reviews, Angie's List, Facebook. But above all, Google is the behemoth in this industry. And digitally, over 90% of people are still going to Google. I know AI search is coming into play, but still, the majority of people are going to Google. It's just so simple. So you want to make sure that you get good reviews on your Google business profile. If you're relying on your text to do it, or you're just hoping that somebody does it, those are not good strategies. A great way to systematize it is to send out a text message automatically from your CRM system. And if you don't have one, we have a system that can do that for you. But basically what we do is kind of a trick of the trade because most people are worried about, what if I get somebody that gives me a 1-star, a 2-star review? It's going to mess me up. So what we suggest is that we'll send a link to your client after the job is done and ask them, what star rating would you give us? And if they give you a 4 or 5, then we link them to Google. And if they give you less than a 4 or whatever you decide is appropriate, then we have that send an email to you or to someone on your staff so that you can talk to Mr. Client and say, hey, how could we have done better? That's just a great way to, if there is some overarching issue, that you can go ahead and remedy it before that referral turns into a bad referral. And then also systemizing is just building your referral network of other partners, electricians, plumbers, other people in the home services industry. Besides referrals, another thing that you want to do is have predictable sources. I really like to look at it as almost like a mathematical equation. If I spend this kind of money, I should get Google to send me reviews, whether it's LSA, which is the local service ads at the top of the page, or whether it's the sponsored ads, which is the SEM, Google SEM ads. We're going to talk a little bit more about database reactivation. And then SEO is another predictable resource. So SEO has had such a bad rap for so many years. It's search engine optimization, and it's coming into play with AI. But what it basically says is, do you have your website set up in such a way that Google and other sources will look at your website and go, it's trustworthy, it's authoritative. Okay, I'm going to send my people over to that website or answer questions that they may have from that website because I trust that they have the expertise. So that's really what SEO is. And that's why it's so important that over time you're building on your authority. And then another predictable resource is customer retention. You're going to get 5 times the ROI with a current customer who either does another install or does some sort of other service with you. So all of that kind of creates a 7-system framework. And if you look at these 7 things, I'd love for you to think about what areas am I weak in? What areas maybe I'm not doing at all? What I find typically for clients under the $1 million mark is they don't have the review management typically dialed in. Maybe they're not as focused on customer retention because they're trying to focus on new customers. And then also data tracking and marketing automation. Anything that you can do so that you as the owner do not have to touch every piece of that process is going to save you time so that you can take on more customers, more revenue, and that means you can hire more people to handle those things as you get bigger. I've often said revenue solves a lot of problems. Constraint number 2, not tracking calls or leads properly. So we find this a lot of times is that marketing is, we see people throw that spaghetti noodle against the wall and see if it sticks. And sometimes it sticks and sometimes it doesn't. The problem is you're going to fly blind, you're going to spin without knowing what works, and you really can't optimize what you can't measure. And I've seen a lot of people waste budget money on low converting channels. Now, there is a caveat to that. There is no magic bullet. You really need a full funnel approach. You need to have branding so that if somebody sees your Google ads, they will pick you. Because if they don't know you, they're not going to pick you. I call that being known before needed. So you need to make sure that you're doing branding. You need to make sure that you're out there in the community. And some of that stuff is it's not easy to determine what the return on ad spend actually is. It's hard to know if I gave a few $100s to a Little League team and they wore their shirts until they outgrew them, how much, if that was the tipping point for someone to call you. Because a lot of times people don't remember what they saw or how they saw you. They just know they Googled you and they called you. But the reason they picked you is because they saw that branding. But at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you're finding out where people are coming from and determining what the percentage of ad spend should be. There's a great little thing at the bottom. It says 80% of customers hang up and call a competitor if you don't answer within 3 rings. So why is that important? You need to make sure that you're not paying for a lead that you didn't take. So those are things that are important for people to know. And it is, when we look at that percentage of spend, we know what industry standards are. If you're spending $1,000 a month on Google ads and you aren't tracking your calls to see how many are coming, then we don't really know. Are you above industry average? Are you on par? Or is something going on that we need to deal with? I had a client one time, it was interesting because we track booked leads. What we do is we basically take call numbers and record the transcript of the calls that were made. And at the end of the call, if they booked a job, if they booked an appointment, then we would tell our client at the end of the month, or they can look at it whenever they want because it's live, is we'd say, you know what? I had a client, I said, they had HVAC and plumbing. And I said, you know what? Your HVAC calls, your booking rate's really high. It's over 80%. but for some reason your plumbing is only at 23%. Is that normal? Because sometimes, there's something going on, like they have to have a dispatcher call or whatever. But in this case, it was not normal. And what was happening is they had so many people calling, and they would call and say, hey, we can't see you guys for 3 days or 5 days because we're booked out. Then the person would go, I got to get some help now. So I'll call. Thanks so much. And they'd hang up. So what we found out is we were wasting money on Google leads that they couldn't take. So now on a weekly basis, I'm talking to that client. I'm like, it looks like your booking rate's good. So we're good on the spend, or we'll take the spend down, or we'll take the spend up. So that's why it's really important that you look at those measures that you are to make sure that the money is well spent. So track everything. We look at unique numbers per channel. So if we have different phone numbers. If it's they go to your website and they call you organically. If they call you from a Google LSA ad, if they call you from a Google ad, if they call you from Facebook. So it's just a really great way to track and see what's going on. We also look at how many of those calls actually turned into booked jobs that were produced revenue. And we'll even say these kind of calls, the average revenue per booked call is around $1,600 or $800 or $10,000. So it's really important that as you grow, that you're looking at those numbers, because what that tells me is if I need this much revenue, let's say that you want to have $100,000 revenue month, and you typically get $1,600 for revenue in a repair call or this amount in installs, then we can decide what's going to get you the most installs, what's going to get you the most repairs, and then we back it up. And then it's kind of, like I said, a mathematical equation, because over time you'll know what your booking rate is. So one of the biggest issues in home services is phone calls answering. If you're a one-man show and you're out there in the field and you're not able to answer phone calls, please, please, please get a call service. If you can take more business, get a call service. It's worth a few $100s a month to have someone that books your calls for you. If you don't book them quickly, then somebody else is going to book them. So you want to make sure that you've got that answering service. And what you can do is you can set up your calls and listen to them, set them up so that they're transcribed and see where the problem is. You can even, this is a pro tip, you can even put those transcripts into AI and it'll tell you how you needed to handle those calls differently, which is great for training of your call ladies or gentlemen that may be in your office. Okay, what's that third constraint? Ignoring retention. I love this graphic. So Olivia was helping me with this and she did a great job. And it basically says, are you paying attention to new customers more than your existing customers? If you're doing that, you are going to be missing on a lot of great shoulder season opportunities, because customers that you already have tend to spend 5 to 7 times more than someone that's a cold customer. Repeat customers are going to spend more. And if you have a maintenance plan, which if you don't, you really need to call me because I need to help you with a maintenance plan. But the people that are on your maintenance plan are about 300 to 500,000. No, not 1,000. 300 to 500% higher lifetime value. So this is really important. Once you get to you really should have 80%. 80% is just a really magic number. You should be booking 80%. You should have 80% of your people on your maintenance plan. This is how you can make sure that you keep your guys busy during the shoulder season. The other thing that's important if you're not keeping your customers engaged, let's say an average Google lead cost is $75 in your area. So you paid $75. You met this client. They liked you. You did all kinds of work for them. They get busy. A couple of years go down the road. They have a service need and they don't remember who you were. And so they just get on Google and say, I need HVAC repair. And so you paid for a lead. You got a happy customer, but then they went and somebody else paid for that same lead and now they have a happy customer. Who's going to keep them in their pipeline? Because we know 8 to 10 years, they're going to need a new install. You want to make sure if you miss out on that install, then your lifetime value of your customers just went down. So make sure that you're paying attention and doing that database reactivation. One of the things that we have started doing is text drip campaigns. And we have seen so much success with those, as well as email campaigns. But the text campaigns, they're 90-something% of people will see their text within the first 2 minutes of it arriving. And sometimes they won't do anything to it right away. So then you send them another one a couple of days later that says something different so that you can get folks to sign up for your maintenance, to sign up for a tune-up, to sign up for gas log replacements, water heaters, indoor air quality products. So letting people know is half the battle of getting them to purchase. Okay, fourth constraint, this shiny object marketing. So what is that? This is when you jump from tactic to tactic. You don't give enough time to each of those campaigns. So I can tell you, SEO is going to take a while. It's not something that's going to change your leads in the first 3 months. It may even take 6 months. But the great thing about SEO is you're not paying Google for it. You're not dependent on Google. So you're going to want to make sure that you're doing those things. And remember, we talked about a multi-channel approach. So you want to make sure that with Facebook, you don't just get out there, do a blitz, and a month later you're done. That isn't going to get that steady trust factor out there. It's not going to get clients to remember you. The other thing I see a lot is people hiring multiple vendors. And what happens is this person's doing one thing, this person's doing this, and none of them, they're all kind of just throwing stuff out there, and there's no concerted effort, no concerted promo, no concerted voice. So you want to kind of stay away from that. Most companies now have tried to reduce the number of vendors because they know an invested vendor that handles more things is going to do a better job. And then the other thing is chasing trends instead of fundamentals. So you want to make sure that you have a good website. If you don't have a website, ain't nobody going to invite you to their house. So you want to make sure you have a good, solid website. You have converting pages. You've got Google on your side, sending leads your way. You've got Facebook out there, making sure that your branding is on par. Doing some direct mail. We're doing some new things with Cloverleaf campaigns where when you replace an HVAC unit at a house, the 10 areas around the 10 houses directly next to it will receive a postcard that says, hey, we were just in your area. Let us know if we can help, basically. So there are all kinds of different ways that you can use things that are fundamentally things that we used 20 years ago, direct mail, SEO, Facebook ads, Google. So we may be doing it a little bit differently, but that's why if you have a really good, competent vendor that is helping you with multiple campaigns, we can make sure that they all work together. So here's some of the things that I was telling you about. An SEO campaign is going to take 6 to 12 months. Paid ads typically, because we have to kind of train Google, are going to take 60 to 90 days. And branding is a little tougher because it's going to take 17 touch points at a minimum. So they're going to need to see your billboard and your mailer and your Little League shirts. And then they're going to need to see you on Facebook multiple times. And then when they have an issue or when they see something that intrigued them, like an indoor air quality because their kid is always sick or has allergies, then they're going to pick up the phone and call you, or they're going to Google you, or they're going to get on your chat widget and they're going to contact you. The name of the game now with clients and customers is that they want to have a lot of different ways to contact you, and you have to touch them in so many different ways. You can see how, if you're trying to do that and run a business, it can be exhausting. This is why you want to make sure you have a good marketing partner. So here's a 30-day action plan. You're going to want to spend the first week looking at doing an audit, assessing where you're at. What are your numbers? Get into your CRM. Find out what your lifetime value is. What is your booking rate? What is your cost per lead? Look at the areas that are big gaps. And then determine what are some quick wins. Making sure that you're answering the phone call, pull in your dormant customer list and do a win back campaign. Set up some automated review requests. I'm going to tell you, if you're doing a good job with this is probably going to take more than just 1 week. But if you could even get one of those done during that week, that would be great. And then week 3 is doing some system building. Choose 3 core marketing systems that you want to focus on, whether it's marketing automation, automated review generation, reputation management, paid ads, SEO. Figure out where you need to focus on, and then schedule some Q1 retention campaigns, which is your current customers. I'm just going to tell you that all of this, if I was in your seat, would sound daunting. And this is why you need to get a marketing agency. One of the first things that we're going to do is a competitor analysis, and we're going to see in your ecospace on your digital presence. And if you think of your physical building is your location, and you think about your website as your kind of virtual location, it's your digital location. And are those working together well? Are you showing up for your client wherever they are? We can do that, and we can see how your competitors are showing up next to you. So one of the things I would tell you to do, contact me, Pam at exploremedia.com, or call me at 525-5669, or use your phone, use this QR code and fill out a form, and we'll get you a competitor analysis. I think you're going to be amazed at how you're doing, and we'll give you the steps that you need to do. If you want to do it yourself, we'll tell you where are the areas that you need to focus. If you want to really drive the needle and break through that ceiling and get to the 2 million mark, give us a call, because that's what we're here to do. We know you're busy. You've got a business to run, and we're here to help. Give us a call.